Hey, what's going on, U.S. history fans? We have a video for you today on the Second Red Scare. So what's happening in the 1940s and the 1950s? This is the second of two Red Scares, so let's get going. So what exactly is the Second Red Scare? Well, this is fear and hysteria over communism that swept through the country in the 1940s and the 1950s. Remember, at this time, World War II has ended, and now the U.S. is going full force into the Cold War. Many individuals in this country agreed with Joseph McCarthy's fear that the U.S. government was infiltrated by communists. So let's talk about some reasons for the Second Red Scare. Why exactly is this happening? Well, the USSR, their actions after World War II in Eastern Europe helped scare a lot of people about communism and the Soviet Union. Remember, at the Yalta Conference during World War II, the Soviet Union promised free elections in Poland, although they never did that. In 1949, a really bad year foreign policy-wise for Truman. China turns communism. This is known as the fall of China. And here's Mao Zedong as he comes to power as the communist leader of China. Also during this time, the Soviet Union develops their own nuclear weapons, so the U.S. no longer has a monopoly on nuclear weapons. And there is a detonation of a nuclear weapon. So the Red Scare in the 1940s, let's talk about that. We're going to start with HUAC, or the House Committee of Un-American Activities. This is created in 1945. Please know this. Hear me now and remember me saying this when you're taking your test. Richard Nixon, not Joseph McCarthy, was the prominent member of HUAC. This is a House committee, meaning the House of Representatives. Joseph McCarthy was a senator, so therefore he could not be part of HUAC. Please make sure you know that at all costs. They investigate this guy, Alger Hiss, who is a one-time aide to FDR. He is accused of sharing 65 classified documents, and he is indicted and sentenced to 5 years in jail for perjury. So he was suspected of being a communist spy, and he ends up going to jail for 5 years for lying under oath. Another group that is accused of being a communist during this time is the Hollywood 10. And these are 10 different screenwriters from Hollywood that refused to testify before HUAC, and they are sentenced to jail for their refusal to testify. A lot of people in Hollywood were accused of being communists. In response to this, Truman issues his loyalty program, this Executive Order 9835, which calls for federal employees to take a loyalty oath. And thousands of government employees were fired for not taking the oath. All right, let's jump ahead to the 1950s. We're going to start off talking about the McCarran Internal Security Bill, and this is passed over Harry Truman's veto. And this stated that communist organizations must register with the government. McCarthyism, when most people think of the Second Red Scare, they think of McCarthyism. And Joseph McCarthy is seen as a demagogue. What is a demagogue? It is a leader that capitalizes on prejudices and false claims to gain power. So it's somebody who takes advantage of fear and hysteria to make themselves more powerful. So here's Joseph McCarthy giving one of his several different testimonies on suspected communist in the United States. He is a senator from Wisconsin, and he accused members of the State Department of being communists. And again, he claimed to have this list and said that the government was infiltrated by communists. And the downfall, he goes on a little bit of a ride here for a couple of years, accusing everybody of being communists. But his downfall happens when on national TV, he attacks the army, and he finally comes across as a bully. And if you're familiar with Arthur Miller's The Crucible, this book was written about the Salem witch trials, but it's an allegory to McCarthyism. He didn't want to come out and just badmouth McCarthy during this time, so he made this story about the Salem witch trials as an allegory or a metaphor for McCarthyism. In the 1950s, we have a husband and wife couple, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, and they were accused of giving atomic bomb secrets to the Soviet Union. Both of them were executed. However, in 2008, evidence revealed that the prosecution knew that Ethel was innocent, but they went after her to try to get Julius to provide more information. So the prosecution actually went through with her execution, knowing that she was innocent of giving this information. Okay, let's talk about the effects of the Red Scare, the Second Red Scare. We have blacklisting, especially in Hollywood. This is the refusal to hire certain workers for their suspected communist ties. You hear this phrase a lot. If you're blacklisted, it's when businesses will refuse to hire you. There's absolutely a violation of constitutional rights that are occurring this time. And remember, anytime there is a war, your constitutional rights will go down. And additionally, one of my favorite things in the entire world, my favorite sports team, the Cincinnati Reds, changed their name to the Cincinnati Redlegs to avoid association with communism. Look at this guy here, Mr. Red Leg. If you flip it over, you can see his back. It says Mr. Red Leg. So he actually was the mascot for the Reds, and the Reds changed their name in the 1950s to the Red Legs instead of the Reds for fear of being associated with communism. If you think I have a Reds obsession, I have just a little one. Here's my school lanyard. You can see my watch. And that's probably about 1/1000th of all the Reds memorabilia I have. Okay, the Supreme Court case Dennis versus United States in 1951. This upheld the Smith Act from 1940, which said that it is illegal to teach the violent overthrow of the government. That was aimed at radicals and communists as well. All right, we're going to finish up with some test tips. So if you ever see an essay topic, chances are it'll be on comparing the first Red Scare with the second Red Scare. And also, you could talk about the second Red Scare as it relates to domestic policy during the Cold War. So anything on the Cold War and the domestic issues, you could tie in the second Red Scare. So some tips for multiple choice questions. Again, please make sure you know McCarthy was not a part of HUAC. He was a senator, could not have been a part of HUAC. That was Richard Nixon. And individual rights are limited. Remember McCarthyism, the Hollywood 10. And finally, good luck. You will do great. All right. Thank you guys very much for watching. Hopefully I was able to clarify a lot of things with the second Red Scare. If you have not already, please take a moment and subscribe to my channel. Help me spread the word as well. If you know anybody who would benefit from this video, please share it with them. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the section below. Thank you very much for watching and have a good day, guys.